It's 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday night in December, and Sarah's sitting at her kitchen table, laptop open, scrolling through her bank statements from the past 3 months. She's not panicking, not yet, but there's this feeling. You know the one. That tightness in your chest when you realize you should have done something weeks ago, maybe months ago, and now time's running out. Her neighbor mentioned something at the grocery store last week. Something about tariffs coming in January. New regulations, policy changes. Sarah didn't think much of it then. She had other things on her mind. Bills to pay, kids to feed, the usual chaos of life. But now, sitting here in the quiet darkness with just the hum of the refrigerator for company, she's starting to connect dots she didn't even know were there. And here's the thing. She's not wrong to feel this way. Look, I'm not here to sell you fear. I'm really not. But I am here to tell you about 10 specific items. And yeah, I know, another list, right? But these aren't random. These are things that researchers, economists, supply chain analysts, and just regular people who pay attention have been talking about for months now. Things that are about to get significantly more expensive, harder to find, or both, once we flip the calendar to 2026. Some of this might sound extreme, some of it might feel like overkill. But remember March 2020. Remember when people thought stocking up on anything was paranoid until suddenly it wasn't? I'm not saying we're headed for that. But I am saying that being 2 weeks early is always better than being 2 days late. So let's talk about what you actually need to think about before January 1st. Item 1. Electronics and tech essentials. Here's something most people aren't connecting yet. You know how your laptop's been running a little slow? Or your phone's battery doesn't quite last like it used to. That tablet your kid uses for school, the one with the cracked screen you keep meaning to replace? January 31st, 2026, a whole new wave of tariffs kicks in. And I'm not talking small increases. We're looking at potential 25% to 60% tariffs on electronics manufactured in China. Now, I know what you're thinking. They've been saying stuff like this for years. True, but this time it's different. The policies are already drafted. The implementation dates are set. This isn't speculation, it's scheduled. Let me put this in real numbers for you. That $800 laptop could be $1,000 to $1,200 by February. That $300 tablet, try $400 to $480. And smartphones? We're already seeing companies like Apple quietly adjusting their pricing strategies for Q1 2026. A friend of mine, Marcus, he works in supply chain logistics for a major electronics retailer. We had coffee last month, and he told me something that stuck with me. He said, "We've already been told to expect 30 to 40% price increases on nearly everything we stock. It's not if anymore, it's when. So here's what you actually need to do. If you've been putting off replacing that failing hard drive, do it now. If your phone's on its last legs, upgrade before December 31st. If you need a new router, a backup battery, charging cables, headphones, whatever tech you know you'll need in the next year or two, get it before the calendar flips." And I'm talking genuine needs here, not just wants. Think practically. What would actually disrupt your life if it broke tomorrow? Your work computer, your kids' devices for school, that extra phone charger you keep meaning to buy. The retail workers I've talked to are already seeing people quietly stocking up. Not in panic buying quantities, just smart quantities. 1 or 2 extras of the things they know they'll need. Because here's the reality. Even if the tariffs somehow get delayed or reduced, which, let's be honest, probably won't happen, you're not going to regret having a functional backup laptop or a new phone that actually holds a charge. Item 2. Automotive parts and maintenance supplies. This one caught me off guard when I first heard about it. Your car, that thing sitting in your driveway right now. When was the last time you really thought about maintaining it? I don't mean the oil changes you probably do on time, or slightly late, no judgment. I mean the other stuff. The battery that's been slow to turn over on cold mornings, The tires that are getting thin, the brake pads that squeal just a little bit when you pull up to a stop sign. Starting in January, automotive parts, especially anything with electronics, which is basically everything modern now, are going to see massive price increases. We're talking batteries, alternators, sensors, computer modules, all of it. And tires? Tires are about to get stupid expensive. See, most people don't realize that about 75% of the tires sold in America are manufactured overseas. Thailand, Vietnam, South Korea, China. And with the new tariff structures, industry analysts are predicting 20 to 35% price increases on tires alone. That set of 4 tires that costs $600 today could easily be $800 to $900 by March. I talked to my mechanic about this. Shout out to Tony. He's been keeping my ancient Honda alive for years. And he told me they're already seeing people come in for preventative maintenance who normally wouldn't bother. People replacing parts that are good enough for now because they know what's coming. Tony said something smart. He said, "Your car doesn't care about the economy. If your battery's going to die, it's going to die on the coldest morning of winter when you're already late for work. Might as well replace it when it's cheap and convenient, instead of expensive and desperate. So look at your car. Really look at it. When's the last time you replaced the battery?" Most batteries last 3 to 5 years. If yours is pushing 4 years old, it's living on borrowed time. Your tires, are they legal? Sure. But are they safe for another winter, another year of highway driving? Air filters, cabin filters, windshield wipers, headlight bulbs. These sound like small things, but they add up fast, and they're all about to cost more. Get your car serviced before January. Ask your mechanic what's going to need replacing in the next 12 months, and just do it now. The money you save on parts could literally pay for the labor, and if you've been thinking about buying a used car, do it in December. Prices are already climbing, and they're not coming back down. Item 3. Appliances. Yes, really. This is where it gets kinda wild. Your washing machine, your dryer, your refrigerator. These aren't things most people think about until they break, and when they break, you need them replaced immediately. But here's what's happening behind the scenes. Major appliance manufacturers, we're talking Whirlpool, LG, Samsung, GE, have already announced price increases for Q1 2026. Not subtle ones either. Some models are going up 15 to 25%. And here's why. Steel tariffs, aluminum tariffs, computer chip tariffs, shipping cost increases, all hitting at the same time. My sister learned this the hard way. Her dishwasher died 3 weeks ago. She figured she'd wait until after Christmas to replace it, maybe catch some January sales. Then she actually looked at the 2026 pricing that retailers had already posted. The exact same model she was looking at, $650 in December, $820 in January. She bought it that afternoon. Now, I'm not saying run out and replace appliances that work fine. That's wasteful and unnecessary. But if something's making weird noises, if you've been nursing it along for the past year, if you know in your gut it's not going to make it much longer, replace it now. Same goes if you're moving, renovating, or upgrading anyway. Whatever you were planning to buy in January or February, buy it in December instead. This extends to smaller appliances too. Coffee makers, toasters, blenders, vacuum cleaners. Anything with motors, electronics, or imported components. There's a Reddit thread I was reading the other day. Supply chain workers sharing what they're seeing in real time. One guy who works in warehouse logistics for Home Depot said they've been told to expect significant supply constraints on appliances starting in February, combined with price increases they're calling unprecedented. His advice? If it's a major appliance and you're even thinking you might need it in 2026, buy it before January 1st, period. Item 4. Clothing and footwear, especially quality items. Okay, stay with me on this one. Clothing, shoes. These feel like things that are always available, always affordable, always there when you need them. Except that's changing. About 97% of clothing sold in America is imported, most of it from China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India. And yes, you guessed it, tariffs. But it's not just tariffs. There's also this thing happening with cotton prices, manufacturing costs, and shipping rates all spiking at the same time. The research I've been looking at suggests we could see 30 to 50% increases on clothing prices throughout 2026. And the scary part? It might not even be gradual. Some analysts think it'll hit all at once, like a wave. Now, before you think I'm suggesting you hoard t-shirts, just think practically for a second. What do you actually need in the next year? Work clothes? Winter coat? Decent boots? Jeans that actually fit? Underwear and socks? Yeah, I'm going there. Because when was the last time you replaced those? If you've been putting off buying winter gear, do it now. If your work wardrobe is hanging on by a thread, literally replace it now. If your kids are growing like weeds and you know they'll need new clothes in 3 months, size up and buy now. Quality matters here too. That $150 pair of work boots that'll last 5 years, way better investment than cheap $40 boots you'll replace 3 times. Do the math. Better materials, better construction, better value, especially before prices jump. I talked to someone who works in retail fashion. She told me their corporate office has already sent out memos about 2026 pricing, baseline increases of 35% across most categories, with some items going even higher. She said, and I quote, "Buy your basics now. Buy your quality pieces now. Buy what you know you'll need. Because by summer, people are going to be shocked at what a simple pair of jeans costs." Look, I know this sounds paranoid. I get it. But think about it like this. You're not panic buying. You're just shopping smart. You're making purchases you'd make anyway, just doing it while prices are still reasonable. That's not paranoia. That's just being smart with your money. Item 5, building materials and home repair. Essentials. Here's a question. What's been broken in your house for the past 6 months? That leaky faucet you keep meaning to fix. The loose railing on the deck. The caulking around the bathtub that's definitely growing. Something it shouldn't be growing. Whatever it is, fix it now. Lumber prices, steel prices, copper prices, all of them are projected to increase significantly in early 2026. Tariffs on Canadian lumber alone could add 25% to wood costs. Copper for electrical work could go up 40%. Even basic hardware, screws, nails, brackets, hinges, it's all about to cost more. And here's something most people don't think about. If you can't afford the materials, contractors definitely can't. Which means labor costs are going to increase too, because contractors pass those material costs directly to customers, usually with a markup. My neighbor Rick is a contractor. Been doing home renovations for 20 years. He told me he's already booking projects into April 2026 at current prices, but anything after that will be quoted with the new material costs factored in. He estimated his average kitchen renovation will cost $4,000 to $6,000 more starting in Q2 2026, just from material cost increases. So what do? Make a list of every repair you've been putting off, every project you've been planning, every upgrade you know needs to happen eventually. Then prioritize it. What's essential? What's safety related? What's going to cost you more money if you wait, like that water leak that's probably causing damage you can't see? Do those things now. Before December 31st if you can manage it. Stock up on basic supplies too. Extra caulk, wood glue, sandpaper, paintbrushes, drop cloths, whatever you use regularly for home maintenance. This stuff doesn't go bad and you'll use it eventually anyway. And if you're planning any major renovations in 2026, a new bathroom, a kitchen remodel, a deck rebuild, get quotes now and lock in prices now. Some contractors are already offering pre-2026 pricing if you book and deposit before January. Item 6, medications and health supplies. This one's important, so I need you to really pay attention. Your prescriptions, over-the-counter medications, first aid supplies, medical equipment. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not talking about hoarding prescription medications. That's dangerous, potentially illegal, depending on the medication, and completely unnecessary. What I am talking about is being smart about what you can legally stock up on. First, talk to your doctor. If you take regular prescriptions, ask if they can write you a 90-day supply instead of 30-day. Most insurance will cover this, and it's perfectly legal and normal. It just means fewer trips to the pharmacy and better pricing usually. Second, over-the-counter medications. Pain relievers, cold medicine, allergy medication, antacids, whatever you use regularly. Buy extra now. These have long shelf lives, and prices are already starting to climb. I checked this morning. Basic ibuprofen is already up about 15% from where it was a year ago. Generic allergy medication has jumped almost 20%. And industry projections suggest these increases will accelerate in 2026. Third, first aid supplies, bandages, gauze, medical tape, antibiotic ointment, thermometers, blood pressure monitors if you need one. This stuff doesn't go bad quickly, and you'll be glad you have it when you need it. A nurse I know, Janet, she told me something that's been stuck in my head. She said, people don't think about medical supplies until they're bleeding or sick. Then they pay whatever it costs because they have no choice. Don't be that person. Smart advice. Also, and I know this sounds random, but dental supplies. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, mouthwash. These are daily essentials that are also about to get more expensive. Stock up for 6 months, maybe a year. You'll use it anyway. I know healthcare costs are already ridiculous. I know medical supplies shouldn't be something we have to strategize about. But this is the reality we're living in, so we might as well deal with it smartly. Item 7. Quality kitchen. Essentials. Let's talk about your kitchen for a minute. Not the fancy stuff. Not the gadgets you use once a year. I'm talking about the basics that you actually use every single day. Pots and pans, knives, cutting boards, storage containers, baking sheets. Most of this stuff is manufactured overseas, China mostly. And yeah, tariffs again, but also something else. Steel and aluminum costs are spiking globally, which means even domestically made kitchen items are going up in price. Here's the thing though, quality kitchen equipment lasts decades if you buy it right. My mom has a cast iron skillet she got as a wedding present in 1987. Still uses it daily. Best $30 she ever spent. Though obviously it cost way less back then. That's the mindset you want. Buy once, buy quality, use forever. If your nonstick pans are scratched and flaking, replace them now and buy quality this time. If your knives are so dull you're basically sawing through food, invest in a good knife set now. If you're still using mismatched Tupperware from 2003, upgrade to glass containers that'll actually last. I did this calculation recently. A quality chef's knife costs about $100 right now. That same knife in mid-2026, probably $140 to $160 based on projected pricing. Over a 20-year lifespan, you're talking about an extra $60 for nothing. Just inflation and tariffs, or you buy it now. Same logic applies to small appliances you actually use. Stand mixers, food processors, slow cookers, instant pots. If you use it regularly and yours is dying, replace it now while prices are still reasonable. And here's a weird one nobody talks about. Mason jars, canning supplies, food storage equipment. Even if you don't can food now, having the equipment means you could if you needed to. And with food prices doing what they're doing, learning to preserve food might not be the worst skill to have. Item 8. Power backup and alternative energy. Basics. Okay, this one might sound prepper-ish, but hear me out. When was the last time your power went out? For me, it was 8 months ago. Storm came through, power was out for 3 days, food in the freezer spoiled. Couldn't work from home, couldn't charge phones. It was Inconvenient, to put it mildly. Now imagine that happening in 2026, after all these price increases, when replacing spoiled food costs 30% more than it does today. You don't need a whole house solar system or a bunker full of generators, but you should have something. A basic portable power station, the kind that can charge phones, run a laptop, keep a small fridge running for a while. Costs between $300 to $800 right now, depending on capacity. By mid-2026, probably $450 to $1,200. These aren't just for emergencies either. They're useful for camping, outdoor events, working remotely from weird places, whatever. Solar phone chargers, LED lanterns, battery-powered radios. This stuff is cheap now and practical always. And if you're thinking bigger, solar panels, backup generators, battery systems. The federal tax credits for renewable energy are still available for 2025 installations, but they decrease in 2026. So if you were going to do it anyway, do it now and get the better tax break. I'm not saying everyone needs to go off-grid. I'm saying having backup options when the grid fails, and it will fail, because it always does eventually, makes sense regardless of what's happening with the economy. My uncle installed a modest solar setup last year. Not enough to go off-grid, but enough to run essentials during outages. He said the peace of mind alone was worth it, but the fact that his electric bill dropped 40% was a nice bonus too. Item 9. Quality tools, especially hand tools. Here's something your grandpa probably knew that we've forgotten. Good tools last forever. Most tools sold in America now are made in China or Taiwan. And unlike a lot of imports, quality tools are still being made. They're just about to get a lot more expensive. If you own a home, or even if you rent, you need basic tools. Hammer, screwdrivers, pliers, wrenches, socket sets, drill, saw. Basic stuff. Quality versions of these tools will outlast you. Cheap versions will break the first time you actually need them. My dad has tools from the 1960s that still work perfectly. He also has tools he bought at Harbor Freight last year that broke immediately. Guess which ones he wishes he'd bought more of. Here's the strategy. Buy quality hand tools now before prices jump. Power tools are nice, but hand tools never need batteries or electricity or maintenance. They just work. A quality socket set costs about $150 right now. That same set in 2026, probably $220 to $280, and you'll use it for the rest of your life. Same with things like levels, squares, tape measures, clamps. These are lifetime purchases if you buy quality, and you know what? Learning to fix things yourself saves money forever. That's not a 2026 thing. That's a forever thing. Every time you fix something instead of calling someone, you save $100 to $500 depending on what it is. So invest in the tools now while they're still affordable, and invest in learning how to use them. YouTube exists. You can learn almost anything. Item 10. Bulk non-perishables and shelf-stable foods. All right, last one, and I know this sounds the most prepperish of everything, but stay with me. Food prices have been climbing steadily for years. We're all aware of this. We all see it every time we go to the grocery store. But here's what's coming in 2026. Additional tariffs on imported food items, increased transportation costs, continued supply chain issues, and climate-related crop disruptions that are already being predicted. Some economists are projecting food price increases of 15 to 25% throughout 2026. Some think it could be higher. Now you can't stockpile fresh produce. That's not practical or smart. But you can buy shelf-stable items when they're on sale, especially basics you know you'll use. Rice, beans, pasta, canned goods, cooking oil, flour, sugar, salt, spices. Things that last months or years when stored properly. This isn't hoarding. This is just shopping smart. Buying an extra bag of rice each time you shop. Grabbing an extra jar of pasta sauce when it's on sale. Building up a reasonable pantry so you're not at the mercy of whatever the grocery store's charging that particular week. I started doing this about 6 months ago, not in a crazy way, just buying extra when things were on sale. Now I've got maybe 3 months of basic staples in my pantry. And you know what? It's actually reduced my stress about food costs significantly, because I know I'm okay for a while, regardless of what prices do. Same with household essentials: toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, dish soap. These are things you'll use eventually anyway. Buying them now when they're cheaper just makes sense. And here's a weird psychological benefit. Having a well-stocked pantry just feels good. It feels secure. It feels responsible. It's the opposite of the anxiety you feel when you open an empty fridge and realize you need to spend $150 at the grocery store right now. You know what's weird about all of this? 5 years ago, if someone told you to stock up on electronics and food and tools before a specific date, you'd probably think they were selling survival bunkers or had watched too many apocalypse movies. But here we are. And the thing is, this isn't even about doom and gloom. It's just about reality, economics, policy, cause and effect. Tariffs go up, prices go up. That's not controversial. That's just math. Supply chains get disrupted, availability goes down. That's not fear-mongering. That's logistics. The question isn't whether these changes are coming. They're already scheduled, already announced, already baked into corporate pricing strategies for Q1 2026. The question is just whether you're going to do something about it while you still can, or whether you're going to wake up in February and wish you had. Sarah, remember Sarah from the beginning? She made a list that night at her kitchen table. Not a crazy list. Not a paranoid list. Just a practical one. Things she knew she needed anyway. Things that made sense to buy now instead of later. Things that would make her life easier regardless of what happens with the economy. She bought a new laptop because hers was dying. She replaced her car battery because it was 5 years old. She stocked up on her kid's allergy medication because he goes through it every spring anyway. She bought a decent set of pots and pans because hers were garbage and she was tired of food sticking. Basic stuff. Sensible stuff. And yeah, she spent money, about $2,500 over the course of 3 weeks. But she also did the math on what those same purchases would cost in March 2026, and she saved approximately $800 to $1,000 by buying in December instead of waiting. That's not being paranoid. That's just being smart. So here's what I'd say. If I could tell you just one thing, you don't have to buy everything on this list. You don't have to spend money you don't have. You don't have to stress yourself out trying to prepare for every possible scenario. But look around your life. Think about what you actually need, what you've been putting off, what you know you'll need to replace in the next year anyway. And then ask yourself a simple question. Is there any good reason to wait until January to buy it? Because I honestly can't think of one. The sales aren't better in January. The prices aren't lower. The selection isn't broader. There's literally no advantage to waiting, except maybe telling yourself you'll deal with it later. But later is expensive. Now is cheap. It's your call, obviously. But if you're sitting at your kitchen table at 2:47 a.m. 6 weeks from now, scrolling through your bank statements and wondering why everything costs so much more than it used to, well, at least you'll know you had the chance to do something about it. What are you buying before January sets first? Drop a comment below. And if this helped you think differently about 2026, maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most valuable thing isn't the stuff you buy. It's just knowing you're not crazy for paying attention.